The Palce Crosby, it has the distinction of being one of the few cinemas that opened and closed on the same day, because war was declared and the government closed all places of entertainment with the fear of air raids. But after a week, nothing happened, what they called the phony war, and they rescinded the rule and it reopened to the public. I think it's in the book that you wrote about the lost pleasure palaces.
The lost cinemas of Liverpool. I don't think it is. I would have remembered that one.
The Plaza is in
It's in the book, yeah.
yeah.
And then ironically, they would be showing Palce news about what was going on in the war in the cinema.
Either Palce or Movie Tone. One or the other.
Because Ken Dodd said, when I asked him about picture houses, he said that's how he got the news about what was going on.
That's
going
right.
in the picture houses. And his auntie was a cinema organist.
She played the piano in a silent
That's
picture
right.
house.
So they're as much a part of his life as they are part of yours.
And of course, some of the managers who were a bit of an entrepreneur type, if people came in and they spotted any of their relations in the newsreel, they used to arrange to have a frame of the film cut out of it and blown up, and then give them a picture of their relation in whatever part of the war they were involved in.
Can you imagine that happening now?
Wouldn't do it now.
People have lost that sort of...
Well, everything's so instant.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why the newsreels disappeared. I mean, television is so instant. You can have a cameraman on the far side of the world. Now he sends it over the internet or whatever, and it's on your television set at tea time. Whereas the newsreel, the film had to be shipped back to England, processed, and then distributed to the cinemas. Some of the newsreels were 2 or 3 days old.
That's right. Do you think that the people you work for, a lot of the managers, do you think they were like failed movie stars? Do you think they wanted to be up there?
Some of them might have had that inclination, but I think of them were happy just to be in the public domain and operating a service to the public.
Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of them had been trainees in management. I mean, it is management as opposed to acting or whatever.
What do you mean going through the whole process from like apprentice, projectionist, then to manager?
Well, some of them had been projectionists and they'd moved up to management. The opportunity was always there. Yeah. I could have done it myself.
You could have?
I could have, yeah.
Why didn't you?
I didn't want to. I was interested in the mechanics of the job. That's more important.
But you still would have been in overall charge of the cinema.
Yeah, but the thing is, with managers, they can be moved at a moment's notice around the country. They wouldn't necessarily be in the same theatre for the whole of their working life, whereas projectionists usually were. Right. As I say, Derek Minshall, he'd been 37 years at the Forum. He'd only worked in 2 other cinemas since he left school.
So it was a love of cinema, first and foremost.
The mechanics of cinema.
The mechanics of cinema.
Yeah, and you've got to accept that it is an antisocial job.
In what way?
Well, you're tied down to that building for 12 hours a day.
12? So what, you brought in your flasks
and
your sandwiches?
Yeah, you come in the morning, you're doing maintenance work in the building. You're putting light bulbs in and cleaning the equipment. Then you go through from the matinee in the afternoon right through till they finish at night.
Well, do you not think, when you see the film credits roll at the end of a film, gaffer, production man.
Oh yeah.
Did you never want your name up there? No.
We were the backroom boys.
Yeah.
The only time we ever got any recognition is when the picture went off.
Oh,
if anything went wrong with it, it broke.
You got booed.
And we got booed, and you could hear the kids stamping their feet on the floor and banging it. And you find what's caused the tear, and you cut the damaged section out and you splice it.
But aren't you sweating up against it like in a Bond movie yourself?
Well, yeah, because you're talking about minutes, seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene only lasted on the screen 15 seconds, and the Odeon buggered it up.
But it stuck with you, hasn't it? Like for, I don't know, 30 years on and off.
Well, we remembered it because
You-
the Odeon was the key theatre. It was the top cinema in Liverpool,
Yeah.
next to the Forum. You know, and for the film to go off,
Yeah.
and on that scene, and the cinema was full of people.
God, you must have had a panic attack then.
Well, the lads did, and they got a severe reprimand as well, you know.
How did that, I mean, were you watching it through the little...
We can
sort
see
of-
it through the pub.
through
We can
through the
see,
cup?
we can see and hear everything the audience see down here.
So you didn't need like the manager with a walkie-talkie
Oh, no,
saying,
no.
oh, something's happened here.
No, well, we knew. The projectionist knew.
Yeah. That's the only time it's happened.
Yeah, because once the film breaks, the screen goes white. There's no
Right.
film. There's no film on the screen.
It's like somebody fainting.
Yeah, and they say, "Blast! The film's gone." You know, and of course,
And words to that
the
effect.
film is on the floor.
Yeah.
The loose end, and there's more film being fed from the top.
And did you get
Stop.
did you get a thank you then at the end of it that somebody come and say, starting it
No,
all?
no,
Didn't you expect
no,
that?
No, they never bothered.
No. So
Audience never bothered.
I mean, that's such a pressurised job, you know. I mean, the lost cinemas, the cinema picture house people love and grew up with. You're quite happy being an unsung backroom boy,
That's right.
and you never wanted it any other way.
If you put a perfect show on, the audience don't know you're there.
That's good.
If you bugger it up, they know you're there. You know, I mean, but serious faults were few and far between.
Yeah. And what's been the biggest joyous moment of being at Projectionist? What's been the one that you think that was one of my best shows?
I ran the Sound of Music for 2 years. When we talk about blockbusters today,
Yeah.
they call every movie a blockbuster. And most films are only in the cinema for a maximum of 3 weeks and they've gone. They're on DVD.
So Sound of Music was
Sound of Music was on for 2 years. We had 2,500 people at every matinee and every evening show for 2 years.
and that was at the
London Road Odeon.
London Road Odeon, yeah.
And the only reason they took it off, the Odeon London Road was earmarked to be twinned. It was split in half. It was a very big theatre. And if the plans hadn't have gone ahead, we'd have gone into a third year.
Didn't you go home at night with all the music in your
Well,
head?
it never bothered us because you're just handling so many feet of celluloid. It's
Right.
the tools of the trade.
So
That was our tool of the trade.
when a film came on, you'd watch it a couple of times yourself, or to see it all the way through.
Yeah, you have. Well, you're on the press show because you've been to hundreds
Many
of them.
hundreds of them. Yeah.
That's the first chance we get to see a film is the press show.
Right.
If anything's going to go wrong, it'll go wrong on the press show. You time it. You get all your cues right. You know
Yeah.
where your intervals are going to come. You know where the credits are.
Yeah.
You make sure there's a certificate on the beginning.
So it's like a dress rehearsal.
It's like a dress rehearsal,
Yeah.
and you guys are the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
we love them.
And whatever you write, whether you think the film's a load of rubbish or whether it's not, that's the start of the run, and then you open to the audience. That usually the press shows we usually on a Friday, maybe on a Monday or a Friday, and then you're open to the public on the Sunday.
Yeah.
It could be for 7 days. Some programs they were split. It was Sunday to Wednesday, and then Thursday to Saturday. And occasionally you get what we used to call the Sunday shockers, was all the junk for Sunday one day only, where everything literally falling to pieces. Ancient films, 30, 40 years, and they get a rerun. And all that material is in the building, and we're responsible for it, whether it's in good condition or not.
Well, after the press show, when you showed it to the members, the Fourth Estate journalists who sat there, and 10 o'clock in the morning, I always remember.
That's right.
And then we go and have a drink when it was all over.
In the manager's office.
The manager's office, yeah, George and Jim and
Yeah.
a lot of the great characters. When the film was running and you knew it was okay, when it ran like Sound of Music, would you automatically, I don't know, like autopilot, would you sit there with a flask of tea and just read a paper till it was over,
No.
or do you have to monitor the
No,
whole?
no, well, you're changing the wheels every 20 minutes.
So you've got to be aware.
You've got to know where the change is coming. You've got to make sure that the changeover cues are actually on the film so you can do the changeover perfectly.
Right.
The little circle in the top right-hand corner. They've
Yeah.
got to be there because they're printed by the laboratory. They're there for the projectionist. That's what they're for. They're for the projectionist to carry out the change. So you've got to do it every 20 minutes. Then you've got to rewind the reel.
Yeah.
There's no automation. It was all manual, hands-on.
It's all changed now, it's all automated,
Well, there's no film now.
no film. So part of the lost cinemas of Liverpool, the lost technique of the mechanics.
There's no projectionist.
No, so all that's lost as well.
You go to Liverpool 1, or even here at Bromborough, there's no projectionist.
I didn't know that.
There's-
So who's up there in the
Nobody.
box?
They're digital files on
Are
a
they
hard.
you ghosts of the past?
They're
then?
digital files on a hard drive, controlled by a computer.
So somebody must go up and press a button.
No, they do it from downstairs.
So they don't exist anymore. You're last of a dying breed.
Yeah.
Or last of a breed, really.
Yeah.
Not dying.
There's no projectionists on Merseyside other than at Crosby. They've still got theirs, but they're likely to disappear before the end of the year
Oh.
because they've put automation in there. They've gone digital. You see, they're not cinemas, they're digimas.
Digimus.
They're digimas, they're not cinemas. There's not a foot of film in the building.
Isn't that a sad
I
comment?
mean, you go in the Odeon at Liverpool 1 in the shopping mall.
Mm.
They've got a whacking big sign outside. It says, Odeon Theatres, fanatical about film. And they don't show any. In fact, I think if you went to the trading standards, there'd be a good case to sue them.
Within reason, yeah.
Because there isn't a foot of film in the building.
You can still be fanatical about film. The actual mechanics, it's a bit like, watching Liverpool.
Yeah, but a
or-
digital file is not a film.
No.
A film is a continuous roll of celluloid
Oh, in that respect.
with a coating of emulsion to
So
reflect
you're a
light.
technician, you know these terms,
Yeah.
terminology. Do you think the public actually care about that?
They cared about the price they're being charged to get in and what they're being charged for confectionery.
Yeah. Has that altered then throughout in your career? Throughout, have you seen the whole thing blow up out of all proportion?
It has. It has. Going back to the Sound of Music, the dearest ticket to see the Sound of Music in old money was 12 and 6.
Right.
To see a basic film at the Odeon or the View or the City World or Canon or whatever it was is £9.50.
Oh.
It's £12 if you watch it in 3D.
And what about the popcorn?
You buy a bucket of popcorn for about £2 a bucket. You won't get an ice cream under £2.50. The drinks are about the same. So a family, husband, wife, and a couple of kids going to the pictures, you want £50 minimum. If you haven't got your own transport. If you put your cost of your transport to get you from where you live, from the suburbs into the city centre, because there are no suburban cinemas anymore, they've all gone.
Yeah.
You've got to come into the town centre.
I mean, you're obviously clearly a realist. You obviously knew that things had to change. Cinemas couldn't go on the way they were going.
Yeah, but not at the speed that it's been implemented.
You could say the same about television. When I
Yeah.
was a television editor for 20 years, when I first started, there were 4 channels. Now there's thousands.
Yeah, but how much decent television is on them?
Absolutely. I mean, what do you mourn most about the lost cinemas of Liverpool?
Mainly the programming
In what way?
and the value for money.
The programming in what respect, though?
Because the films are rubbish.
Oh, but you're not a critic. You're a technician. You're a backroom boy. You said.
Yeah.
How do you know that the pictures are rubbish?
We can tell from the first 2 minutes of the trailer whether it's going to do anything or whether it isn't.
And are you usually right as well?
Yes.
After
Yeah.
all this time.
Yeah. I mean, Hollywood, they're mad about remakes. Number 2, number 3, number 4, this blah blah blah. None of them have ever made any money.
So one of the great questions is, what is the film, your favourite film of all time? The one that, forget being a projectionist, the one that you could sit and watch again and again. You know it's a class act.
Oh, it's got to be black and white, Double Indemnity.
With
Fred McMurray,
that's right, and that was remade, wasn't it?
Barbara Stanwyck.
Wasn't that remade as Body Heat?
Yes, and he died of death first week. You can't beat perfection. I love black and white. That was one of the downfalls, that they stopped making films in black and white.
You think so?
Yeah.
But people might say you're a sentimentalist as opposed to a realist.
Not really. We've had colour films since 1922.
Yeah.
The directors and producers had the material to shoot the films in colour. I remember an interview with Alfred Hitchcock when Psycho came out, and that was at the Odeon, 1961. And they interviewed him on television actually, and they said, "Why didn't you use colour for your film?" He said, "Well," he said, "in the shower sequence," he said, "blood going down the plug hole is more convincing in black and white."
Were you ever given a compliment as a projectionist by anybody to say, good work there? Or...
No, never. Not in all the years I've been in the business.
Oh. Say on your tombstone, you're a projectionist, what would you like on it?
He was a showman, but never remembered.